Well, I don't know where to begin. So, against my better judgment, I did finish the Lindsay stream, and I just have to be honest that well, let me step back because people get apparently confused with what I'm saying. So I will keep it very simple, so you can digest the message real simple and enter the matrix. I think it's good that Lindsay is saying goodbye to the DOA cult. That is totally fine. So her leaving the DOA cult, great, congratulations. However, because stupid people are stupid, there was really nothing here. Being totally honest, it was just a lot of ranting and raving and anger, and the closest I could find as to the reason why Lindsay doesn't like DOA is because she felt he wasn't being loyal enough. Let me just let that simmer. So basically, I guess DOA brought up her drug and criminal past. She didn't like that, got suspicious, and now she really doesn't like DOA and Alonzo. And by the way, if you guys want to be really critical of Alonzo for his relationship with DOA, have at it. I've been critical of it, but I think there's many problems with Lindsay. I think the chief problem is which is her prerogative, she just refuses to do any real research. That's just not her thing, which is fine. That is her prerogative. However, and again, my point here is not to defend Alonzo. The point is to defend the facts. So here are some facts. Now, whether you like Alonzo's content or not, it was censored by Dianetics. It was. So if Lindsay's okay with that, that's fine. But that's what happened. She censored the content. And some of that content was, okay-ish. Some of it was excellent. Some of it was pretty loopy. But it's his right to say it. Now, among the content, and believe me, I feel enormous shame to even bring her into this. So apologies to Victoria. I really don't like bringing her up. I don't like bringing up Kyle unless I can be very serious and focused, because the Kyle Brennan case, Kyle deserves a lot better. However, there are some facts here. So DOA did a fairly decent video on the Kyle Brennan case, and DOA did some pretty good work there, and Alonzo has done some good videos as well as good posts. Those posts have not been censored. I'm not going to go into the whole tragedy of Kyle. It's just too much. And I have to be, it's YouTube. I have to say alleged. And I feel really bad about monetizing this video. This is just should not be happening, but it is what it is. So essentially what happened is there is a lot of strong evidence that the Miscavige family and other allies murdered, allegedly, Kyle, a very young man, back in 2007. So it's a very disturbing case. And I've got to be honest, Alonzo was one of the very few voices, like very few people, who kept bringing this up. And why isn't Aaron talking about this? Why isn't Mike Rinder talking about this? Why is Claire Headley not talking about this? Right? And I'm not getting any answers. Not getting any answers at all. And one of the few people who did talk about it is a complete scumbag. Serge brought this up in one of his weepy, indulgent, narcissistic love affairs, and which was not very much, he just did the basics saying, oh, this is Victoria's site. And we're gathered here to care about... No, you're not gathered here to care about Kyle. You're just a narcissistic bozo clown. So Kyle has been, for the most part, forgotten and or lied about by the SPTV people, including Nora and Serge and Aaron. But Alonzo has told the truth. So, with all due respect to Lindsay, you need to stop lying. You need to do more research. You're just spreading false information, right, regarding Alonzo, because certain things are true, right? Now, you know who also lied about Kyle? Marissa, Dianetics. This is not just about who you feel is loyal or not loyal. That is not relevant. Kyle is a real victim. We should respect his memory. But I get it. You're not going to do the research. Fine, so be it. I'm just saying, you're really not telling the truth on certain things, which is fine. You're just refusing to do the research. So I just want that out of the way. So I do congratulate Lindsay for leaving the DOA cult, but all I got from this is that she perceives no receipts were given at all. No receipts, that Mandy is being bullied and or harassed by the DOA people or the DOA cult. Now, given the DOA, fandom, I can believe that they're being bullies. I could believe it, but I was not giving any evidence. And we're believing Mandy because the closest I got is Mandy's a woman. And I will be totally honest that DOA did bring up some alarming questions about Mandy. Though the way I understood it is he's basically charging Mandy with being Amber Heard. Namely that there was another case of her bringing up accusations against another man, and apparently she was caught red-handed lying. And a court of law stepped in. So that's pretty alarming. Now, I'd like more details. I'd like the receipts to be laid out and be very structured. But there you go. So one of the reasons that the DOA cult or the DOA fans are going so adamantly against Mandy is because she was caught red-handed lying. Now, I am not irrational. So let's be clear. I think there is some good evidence that Luz Repetto is, to put it mildly, a questionable customer. However, it could be some of the Jane Does exaggerated or went out there too soon or didn't quite have everything figured out. That is totally possible. Good faith. That will happen. It will happen on both sides. Sometimes women will falsely accuse men, or the accusation is correct, but the evidence needs to be gathered better. That's totally could be the case. Same thing on the other side, right? It happens on both sides. Sometimes men now are like panicking. There's Amber Heards everywhere, right? It will happen on both sides. There will be moral panics. That's why you have to be calm. Let's be careful, right? With Aaron, I'm calling him a predator because the evidence is overwhelming and it's from multiple sources. But with Louis, let's be fair. We have to be patient and wait. Now, Alonzo and DOA are already preemptively saying a lot of these women are lying or misleading people. Well, again, I don't know. I do know with Mandy, there is strong evidence that she's a questionable person. That's fine. That said, I can only say that, and again, I want to be careful here. I don't know if Lindsay's lying, but I just heard with my own eyes, I heard with my own ears that Mandy did accuse Luz Repetto directly. That's my memory of it. That's my honest memory. So maybe I didn't hear her wording correctly. So that didn't make sense because at one point Lindsay was saying, well, Mandy didn't even accuse Luz Repetto. Like, huh? That didn't sound right at all. That didn't sound right at all to me at all. I was like, wait, that was very confusing. But I don't want to accuse her of being a liar there. I'm just like, that's not my memory of it. Now, that said, a lot of this was a pity party, how she feels so bad that she feels manipulated by DOA and Alonzo. Well, maybe she did, but I didn't get any receipts, so I don't know. If she perceives she's been manipulated, it's fine, so be it. She should get away from that. That's totally fine. But the reasoning behind it was just very weak. Namely, she's protecting her sobriety. Okay, that's fine. That's totally legit. I'm just saying from a logical point of view, that is not relevant. Right? A lot of this was just her projecting her emotions, saying, I don't trust you. I don't like you. I don't believe you. Right. Okay. And? So there are good reasons to not believe DOA. That is totally fine. But we have to be rational. If DOA is lying about this and this and this, that's a problem. So if he lies to you 90% of the time, that's a problem. That is a problem. I agree, that is a problem. Because then when he tells the truth about 10%, like the Kyle Brennan case, that's going to be viewed with suspicion, which is not good. It's not good for Kyle. It's not good for Victoria. And again, I do really apologize to Victoria because she does not deserve to get dragged into all these insanities. She's just been a good woman asking for justice for her son. And I'm trying to help as much as possible, but we just got all these crazy cults running around. The DOA cult, the Scientology cult, the Aaron Smith 11 cult, the Surge cult. It's just the Nimkus cult. It's getting overwhelming. So again, the theme here is I'm being positive. I do congratulate Lindsay for leaving the DOA cult, but it's based on this perceived notion of her being honest or finding the truth or being truthful or honest. Being truthful or honest about what? That Mandy was being criticized? Well, maybe she deserves to be criticized. And she just kept going back to this saying, oh, and these women are standing up for DOA. Oh my God, how could you do that? Okay, but at the same time, I didn't even understand. I was really trying hard to understand. It just didn't make any sense. So, and she's getting mad at Alonzo for trying to go against Aaron Smith Levin. That's not even true. That's not even factually true. Like, believe me, guys, you'd be shocked that the blog was really weird. And again, I got to make money. There's just so many questionable things that Lindsay said. So, for instance, Lindsay was like, people sell their soul for subscribers. Those people are bad. I would sell my soul for more subscribers. I think you have to be careful. Like, what do you mean by this? You're making a lot of big leaps and assumptions. That being an authentic person, being authentic to yourself, being honest to yourself is a good thing. Well, maybe not. Being honest to yourself does not mean you're telling the truth. It doesn't mean you know the truth. If truth means factual information, no, that's not true. And a lot of this is, well, I don't feel good about myself. That is not relevant. The question is simple. Is Mandy telling the truth or is she lying? Does she have credibility issues? Just going to, she's the woman, how am I feel? Oh my God, she's a woman. And women attacking women. No, that's bad. And then in the background of all this is Lindsay herself. And again, this is not meant to be a political discussion. She was a Trump supporter. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you just don't care about female victims. That can't be right. That cannot be correct because you supported Trump. So clearly female victims are not a concern. So it's these female victims. Okay, but why are these female victims special? Because Mandy was her mod? I mean, it just not adding up to me. So it was just a very incoherent rant session. But I do feel sorry for Lindsay. I want to be totally frank and open here. Okay, so a lot of people have warned me, get away from Lindsay. Lindsay's not a good person. I still have a lot of faith in her, but she clearly is dealing with a lot of issues, addiction issues, mental issues, emotive issues. And again, if she wants to leave the DOA cult, good. But the reasoning behind it was really weak. It's just really weak. And I would just say on a final note, she needs to stop doing this. Like, she has special magical privilege power, like saying, stop getting me involved in all these conversations. You stop doing this. Stop talking about me. This. Listen, calm down. People can talk about you. People can talk about you critically. Calm down. Stop trying to bark orders about controlling people's content. She keeps saying that, oh, people can do whatever they like. But no. And again, I'm not here to totally expose her or whatever, but I will just say, right, the portrait she's painting is very dishonest. I'll just say this, that she was threatening me behind the scenes. She was literally outright threatening me. And I'm like, why are you threatening me? Right? It's fine. She wants to leave the DOA cult. Great. Applause. But the reasoning here was garbage. It was just garbage. Yeah, you didn't really say anything. And there weren't any receipts. And then you're saying, oh, you can do what you were. No, I didn't even do anything wrong, but you were threatening me. Like, so please try to tolerate people more. Please. I'm not defending DOA or his frenetic fandom or whatever, but it's okay to criticize people. What is not okay is if you're just slandering and insulting. If they're doing that to Mandy, I'll defend her. But if they are criticizing her, that is fine. Calm down. Let's all start to calm down. But I feel sorry for even bringing up Kyle Brennan. But DOA did have a good video on him. Alonzo has done good work on this. That cannot be denied. That would not be true. Right? That's just where we are. Even if you don't like these people, they can do valuable work. People need to remember that.